Yo, Acho, button up, dog. I know that it was early. They got to us before you were. Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley here. Man, yo, Acho, is this Casual Friday? Because that doesn't look too. Oh, well, you didn't button up, so I guess you're being casual. So let's get to our top story right now. And Brian Flores and he claimed in his lawsuit that his interview for head coach with the Giants was a sham and felt they already intended to hire Brian Daboll. The Giants issued a lengthy statement calling Flores' claims, quote, disturbing and simply false. They added their decision to hire their head coach was made after Flores' second interview. And to base his allegation on a text exchange with Bill Belichick is, quote, irresponsible. So, Acho, what's your reaction to the Giants statement denying Brian Flores' claims?
Well, first off, let's not act shocked. It's Friday, man. Y'all deserve our best, so let me give you my best. I'm not going to act shocked. Of course, the Giants are going to deny the claims, and I'm not going to say that they are wrong in their denial of the claims. Whether Flores is telling the truth, the Giants are telling the truth, that is not what I am here to parse out. Eventually, we will find out. What I am here to is make you all aware of this. Even if the Giants win this battle, this imminent Brian Flores battle, you all have to be mindful of the fact that they have still lost the war.
Oh.
Even if the Giants have done their due diligence this coaching cycle in finding a qualified head coach and in interviewing a diverse pool of candidates, they have still lost the war. The Giants football organization has been around for 97 years. Nearly a century the Giants football organization has been around, yet they have no black head coaches. So even if the Giants have done their due diligence in this hiring cycle and have interviewed several black candidates and were open-minded in looking to this diverse talent pool of candidates, they have still lost the overall war, which is to say, over the course of the 100 years of their organization, they have no black or diverse head coaches. Problematic. Sel, it's almost as though if my parents were to walk into my house after an extended vacation when I was a child, and they walk into the house and the house is a complete mess. I'm sure you've been in this situation. Hopefully your kid's more behaved than I. But walking into the house a complete mess. You have food all on the floors. You have crayons have been drawn on the white walls, crayon colors. You have pillows on the floors and the blankets out of place. Everything is a mess. My parents walk inside and I say to them, I didn't spill the cup of water. Okay, but what about the entirety of the house that is a mess? Even if the Giants are saying, we did our due diligence in this coaching cycle, well, what about the 97 years where you have not yet hired a head coach that represents any degree of diversity? Even if the Giants were to acknowledge, yes, we did our due diligence in this coaching cycle, they could probably simultaneously acknowledge, we also do understand there's only one black head coach out of the 29 filled coaching positions. That is problematic. However, we did not intentionally contribute to the current statistical problem that is facing the NFL. Those are my early thoughts.
Early thoughts. Okay. I'm looking at this differently because I don't want to all of a sudden change our scope. We walked in here Monday because we had a laser focus on a breaking story that was rocking the NFL's world, a world that I intimately care for. Like, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that experience. And I dare somebody ever in perception or illusion try to damn that experience unless they actually have facts, unless they actually have receipts. I'm here to argue right now that maybe those feelings weren't facts, that those feelings are not going to be supported with receipts. Because now I'm looking at this situation like I initially did. You know me. I don't believe anything you say until you prove it. I'm like the court of law in terms of my mindset, right? So when I heard these, I understand that the pull is, hey, man, you got to support diversity. Hey, man, you got to support your brother and just jump on that team. Let me tell you what team I play for. Truth. I play for Team Truth, and we change our colors every single game. So I'm looking at this situation. I was always skeptical just because you got to prove yourself to me. And now I'm realizing that I don't know if this is going to meet the burden of proof, the preponderance of evidence necessary to win a civil class action lawsuit. Remind everyone that Rome wasn't built in a day. I get it, but it crumbled in seconds. 58 pages to detail all these experiences, but you can also see through it pretty fast. Let's go here. Because now I look at all these situations, walk with me, big dog, and I look at these situations and they're blindingly easy to kind of flip and be like, I don't know about that, Brian. Let's go. Let's start. NFL, racist hiring practices against black coaches. Interesting. Who did he get fired by? Everyone's jumping on Stephen Ross, in part because he's the owner, in part because he's white. But you know who he had issues with, who he dealt with on a day-to-day basis, where this really came from in terms of we have a bad relationship, you need to be fired? A man by the name of Chris Greer. Anybody know who Chris Greer is? General manager of Miami Dolphins. Yeah, we got a picture of Chris Greer. Do we have that up? Damn. Ooh, brother. Uh-oh. Racist hiring practices. That's one of the 7 black GMs. Now there's 2 more added, so 7 in total black GMs in the NFL. Interesting. So this whole thing that's being perceived as a racial issue really didn't go white versus black. It went black versus black. He got fired by his superior, who was a black man. Okay, interesting. That's racist hiring practices, according to Brian Flores. Okay, Miami, you told me to tank Stephen Ross. Okay, I hear you. Did you take the money? No? Oh, damn. No transaction of that. So it didn't really occur. Okay, do you have receipts of you and I having a conversation? Because you know we're not going to believe what you say. We're not taking your word for it in the court of law. In the court of law, I need you to have facts that are supported by being proven. That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Let's go to Denver. They didn't take my interview seriously. They were late and they seemed drunk. You going to court based on, I think they were drunk. They didn't take it seriously. They weren't being professional. Let's just say I think that falls short of the burden of proof. My last one is the Giants. And the Giants already have come out and retorted and showed some receipts, basically saying you used Bill Belichick and his thoughts on a situation that, one, he is not employed to speak on, and 2, he didn't have full knowledge of. And let me remind you that you had a full day of interviews, a full day of visiting the facilities, and we didn't make a decision to after that. So those are receipts. Those are facts being proven. I wonder what he's going to say to that. All I know is, man, it's just a situation to me. I wrote this down a long time ago because I noticed this is happening more often than maybe it should, that people want to be Malcolm X, but they ended up being Malcolm. Why are you making this stuff up to this degree? I think this was an emotional play that got exaggerated to this situation. I hate to say it, bro, but on the surface, I don't see where he's really going to win this lawsuit. But I would love for someone to convince me or prove it.
No, honestly, I just want a dialogue. Usually you go, I go, you go, I go. That's how the shows go. But your mindset genuinely just has me intrigued, and I think it'll make for a better show and a better conversation.
My dog.
I'm just going to go there.
Let's go.
What is your thought process behind then Brian Flores, right? If there is one black head coach and there are, I think, 29 filled head coaching positions, there might be 28, but we know that the Rams offensive coordinator, a white man, is a front runner to get the Minnesota Vikings job, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we know statistically there aren't a lot of black head coaches being hired.
Yes.
So that at least we know to be true.
Right.
I don't fully agree with the fact that a black general manager fired the black head coach because, in my experience, might be different than yours, an owner is more powerful than a general manager.
Oh, of course.
So if an owner wanted the head coach there, it does not matter what the general manager wants.
Yeah.
The owner can supersede the black general manager. So that's the only real place I disagree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, let me just explain that. Yeah, of course, he can fly in on his G6, whatever the hell, and he's like, I don't like that dude, get rid of him. But also, they get reports. And in those reports, if we have contention, then you make me have to have a decision. You force my hand to pick one of the other. I read a lot of articles talking about their relationship and the disagreements they had. And because they couldn't get along, just to say that lazily, basically, Stephen Ross was forced to pick one. But in that situation of them not getting along, it wasn't Stephen Ross necessarily getting along or not getting along with him. It was you and a black general manager not getting along. And I think that's been misperceived.
Fair. But here's another interesting thought. And I think these are layers I haven't seen on any other show.
Let's go.
If you had to pick the Dolphins general manager or the Dolphins owner, who's done better with their... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Dolphins general manager or Dolphins coach. Thank you for that catch. Who has done better with their job? I would submit Brian Flores has done a better job as a coach than Greer has done as a general manager because look at the Dolphins' primary pick that they've gotten all the attention for and making. Tua. You took Tua before Justin Herbert, which you say Justin Herbert's a top 3 quarterback. I believe he's a top 7 or so quarterback. But either way, Herbert is a talented quarterback. Chris Greer has assembled as a general manager a roster that Brian Flores is doing more with. So even if the Dolphins owner is choosing Greer over Flores, don't you think there's some sort of error in that decision making? So now the question is, why is there an error in that decision making? To which I would have to think, again, maybe Flores is up to something. If I am better at my job than you are at your job, but they keep you over me, what's the why?
Oh, the why is the mister. We talked about that already. Merit and relationships.
Yep.
Like, you could be better than someone else that's been in that seat before. But if I got along better with them and if I had the power, guess what? That person will be there longer than you would. It's like that in everywhere in this world, regardless of color. Like, if it's a smoother experience, I will take the smoother experience versus the upside of it could be a better experience, but I got to go through hell to get there.
Well, you're onto something. Can we stop down? Can we stop down for a second?
Let me answer simply.
Yes, sir.
Tank for Tua was a campaign in Miami, and Stephen Ross said, get Tua. So, Chris Greer, you're getting Tua. And so when we put that on Chris Greer, be careful because that's not Chris Greer versus Brian Flores.
Fair. So what I would then say is if Stephen Ross, the owner, can tell Chris Greer what to do, then I just would not ever say that Chris Greer is the one who fired Brian Flores or Chris Greer not getting along with Brian Flores led to the demise of Brian Flores because clearly, at least in the instance of Tua, Chris Greer was nothing more than a puppet to Stephen Ross's bird. Because a puppet does what the person controls the puppet to do. So if Stephen Ross controlled the general manager to draft Tua, then Chris Greer is simply a yes man. A yes man literally meaning I say yes to the man who tells me to say yes. White or black, he's just a yes man. So I'm just thinking like it seems as though Brian Flores was not Mr. Go Along, not the whole go along, get along gang. It was like Flores wasn't so much on the, Ross, I'll just do whatever you want me to do to keep my job. I think he was like, I'm going to try to do what I can do to win.
No, that's all great. But see, this is the problem. Let's not get too far away from what we're really discussing. That's not racism. That's not racial hiring practices. That's not discrimination. That's you and your feelings, and you got a way to look at the world differently than someone who had more power than you looks at that same situation. And that's where we are right now. The emotional state battle. Where I'm from, biggest beef I've ever seen was Crips versus Bloods, right? You want to know a greater beef than that, and it happens everywhere and it happens to everybody? Your emotional state versus your logical, rational thoughts. Whenever your emotions are leading the charge and that's your electricity, you talk about having a battle within. And that's what happened to my man, Brian Flores. Let's talk about it. Because he gets into this position where all of a sudden he's like, I got fired for doing the right things, for being a coach, even though losing an overall record, still winning seasons. But remind yourself, they have fired coaches before you with similar records. Remind yourself you didn't make the playoffs. Just remind yourself that you find yourself in a position where it doesn't seem like you have a way out. But in that moment, don't let your emotional state lead the charge. Here's an example. You get stuck in snow. You ever been stuck in snow?
Once.
Okay. Most people, conventional wisdom would tell you, hit the gas, get up out of there. What you supposed to do when you in snow?
I do a couple things. Shovel.
No. When you in the Buffalo White House like I've been in, slow down.
Yeah. Of course.
When you're in snow, slow, not speed up. You know what he did? Filed a 58-page lawsuit like that because he sped up because he was in an emotional place right there. Let me tell you what happened also in this situation. You're not reading it correctly. You're not reading it properly. Look, if he were my homie, I would say this to Brian. Like, when you took your L and you got fired unnecessarily, wrongfully, whatever, you see Doug Pederson just got hired today? Remember him, Super Bowl winning coach, got fired? Take your lumps and come back different. Come back rerouting. Come back better. But what's happening in our world today, and it's happened so many instances, is when somebody is taking their L, Colin Kaepernick, you got benched, all of a sudden, I got something else to say emotionally, and it's the right thing. Shaqiri, like I see Brian Flores, I see so many people get into this moment and all of a sudden they lose perspective, logic, and rational thought and want to make it something that it's really not.
Ooh, so much meat on this bone.
Oh, we got ribs.
This is where I think, though, Brian Flores is correct, and so many people missed the mark on the aspect of there's a systemic issue.
Okay.
I think you're exactly right when you say that so much of this isn't race, it's relationship-based.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not necessarily race, it's relationship-based. So then the question is, what was the premise that these relationships have been built on? If the NFL isn't so much about how talented you are, but it's also about who you know. Well, if the relationship, if the system of the NFL was built on white coaches who, when the NFL was founded, all the head coaches were white, and the NFL has been built on a system of hiring necessarily who you know, or to your point, hiring who you get along with. And historically speaking, in the NFL, the system was on head coaches who are white, and you're hiring who you know, which are white, and you're hiring who you get along with, which more often than not are white. Then to Flores' point, I think there's a system fracture. It's a two-sided coin. One side of the coin simply says it's relationship-based, sure. But who dictated the relationships, and who are the relationships founded off of? And if the relationships were founded off of a group of people that looked a certain way, and it is, in fact, relationship-based. I do agree it is relationship-based. But if the group of people looked a certain way and they were hiring based upon their relationships, then the system has always been flawed, so thus it's still flawed.
Here we go. Okay. Let's not talk in absolutes, because if we talk in absolutes, we know that we're absolutely not going to go anywhere, because it's not about absolutes. Let's just go what you said in terms of systemic issues. These systemic issues hired you, Brian Flores. Like, remember that. Like when Brian Flores is like discrimination and racist hiring practices, the same ones that hired you, the same ones that produce at a higher rate rehiring black coaches more than white coaches. Tony Dungy, rehired. Dennis Green, rehired. Lovie Smith, rehired. Caldwell, I could go 9 names right here. Romeo Crennel, Hugh Jackson, Ray Rhodes, rehired. Arshell, rehired. So when you say systemic issues, one, it got you the opportunity, but it's flawed. We know it's flawed. We're not talking in absolutes. But now you're trying to say not beyond flawed, that is broken, and that is targeting you. How is it targeting you if it gave you an opportunity in the first place? You know what's crazy? If you're looking for a savior, you're looking for a rescue, you're looking for something in this moment when you're down to get you back up. A philosopher once said, close your eyes. That's where it's at. Blaming others, blaming situations, the same situations and others that got you to the place where you had an opportunity in the first place, to me just seems backwards in logic. So I just think that right now he got caught up. What connects, what correlates things, and what causes things, unfortunately, is not conventional wisdom. Most people will look at things and think they know that exact answer, just like my snow example. Oh, man, if you get stuck, man, hit the gas. It takes a sophistication, it takes a character, and it takes an experience to know what Doug Pederson did. And I'm only picking him up and pointing him out because he got fired unnecessarily, you would say. He won a Super Bowl a couple years later. Bye. But the relationship soured in Philadelphia. The merit didn't go anywhere. The relationship soured to the point where he got fired and now rehired.
So then when you look at one black head coach out of the 28 or 29 head coaches, do you not think that there is a systemic issue in the NFL? And do you not think that there are subliminal or subconscious racially discriminatory factors at play in head coaching practices? Like, is it a sheer coincidence to you that there's only one black head coach out of 28 or 29 filled positions?
There was a few years ago 8. And now we're down to 1, and we've been low in numbers. I don't go to systemic because you know why? We had this conversation before. Let's put it back into this conversation. When did Bill Belichick start coaching? When did Pete Carroll start coaching? And when they did start coaching, what, 1973, 1975? Where did they start coaching? You start coaching at the graduate assistant level. No pay. No thrills, no frills. And all I'm saying is have a quantity conversation before you have a quality conversation. And let's go back to those days. You even brought it up. There were places and teams that weren't even integrated. And we're still talking about coaches that are active that started before some of these coaches were born, or there was even full integration.
So that's why It's interesting to me because everything you're saying is describing a systemic issue, but you're not labeling it a systemic issue.
Because it's a timing issue.
Why do I say? But it was a system based upon that time. For example, when Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick were hired, it still wasn't mandated that private schools like the one I attended from grades 5 through 12 were integrated. It still was not mandated. When Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick first started coaching, the renowned football program, Virginia Tech, still did not have integration in their football programs. When Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick started coaching, black coaches could not coach at renowned and dominant universities as perceived by white people. So it's a system thing going back to when they were coaching. So if it is a quantity number, if it is the fact of Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll still in the game, they started coaching back before people that looked like Brian Flores even had a chance to coach at a level that would be viewed with any sort of esteem.
I'm glad you said esteem. I was waiting for it. Woo! Attention is invention. Remember that, party people. Whatever you give your attention to, you will create something of it. Good, bad, ugly, it could be the wrong thing, but something's going to manifest from it. I used to always grow up and see people who spent so much time doing X, and they always would win at X because they spent their time there because their attention was the invention. Why do I bring that up? We're talking about a timing in terms of date and starting point. Interest level, let's be real. Let's not act like interest level is uniform. And then a quantity conversation. I had this conversation with the mayor of Compton one time. And if you look at Compton, there's a few things that stick out in terms of reputation. A lot of athletes, right? A lot of rappers and entertainers, right? And what's gotten lost is how many CEOs, VPs, lawyers. And what we were trying to do is twofold. One, change the perception like we're not just rappers and athletes, but two, make sure that everyone within the borders realize that there are a lot of opportunities for you to be something other than just the entertainer and rapper. Why do I bring that up? Because we started late to the coaching conversation. Let's just be real. And then the interest level wasn't the same. I use my experience as my expertise. When I retired, just doing a survey of my locker room, most people wanted to chill. Most players then wanted to commentate. And then third was become a coach. Now, if you want to make that even more narrow and say people of color, it was a bigger gap between chilling, commentating, and then becoming a coach. All I'm saying is the numbers will catch up, just like it did on the field. There was a day where there weren't black players. There was a day where it wasn't fully integrated in our society. We understand that. But then the quantity, the timing, the interest level, all of a sudden change that landscape.
But I would say twofold, right? I would say that's the difference between when you talk inclusion versus diversity, right?
Yeah.
I think you can only be interested in something that you're allowed to do to some degree. Let's talk early on, 1960s and whatnot. Not a lot of black people were interested in swimming. But not a lot of pools, you could not swim as black people because you weren't necessarily allowed in pools, the same pools as white people were allowed in. So if you're talking about coaching, I'm just like, well, early on, one, I can't speak to the interest because I don't have any empirical data to support
and
it.
that's the rub on this
That's the kicker.
one.
Like, I don't have data to support that black people aren't interested in coaching.
And I'm with you, big dog. That's why I don't want to talk in absolutes. But in general, I knew more white players that wanted to be grad assistants than I did black players. And that's not to say that there are not a lot of black players that want to be coaches. Byron Leftwich, a little levity, a little joke. I got to insert it. You know me. I text Byron Leftwich on January 26th, said, I'm proud of you. Congrats. Because I thought he was going to be the Jacksonville head coach. Now I hear that he's not in the running for that. Should there be a lawsuit based on Marcellus with inside information like there is on Bill Belichick using me as a premise? Hell no. But the point of it is Byron Leftwich was one of those guys. There are a few others on my teams that wanted to be black players, coaches, but there were more white. I'm going to tell you the truth. There were more white players that wanted to be coaches, and there were more black players that said, hey, I'm a broadcaster and commentate. It is what it is. But the point is, you can't reverse that now and say that's discrimination when at first there wasn't even the same level of participation.
But there's not. No, I got something. I just don't know how long you want to stay here.
Okay,
For me, there's not the same level of participation because there was not the same level of acceptance.
Acceptance.
Yeah, you can say both, right? In theory, it's twofold.
Chicken and egg.
Right?
Here we go.
So there's not the same level of participation because you all aren't allowed to coach at the highest level. So now I can't hold it against you that y'all aren't coaching at the highest level because y'all weren't allowed to coach at the highest level. So I can't be mad at black people that aren't coaches because black people weren't allowed to be coaches, so I can't go back and hold it against them that they aren't coaches because they weren't allowed to be coaches at places in which we were at least esteeming.
Man, let me just tell you what I just heard in my ear. I got to give Heller, me and Heller going to do something in life together beyond this. I don't know what it is, but he going to pay for it. The stop sign is no longer there, y'all. You stop at stop signs that are no longer there? Do you stop at places where you thought there was a stop sign before? It's not there anymore. All I'm saying is 2022, 58 pages, lawsuit. That stop sign ain't there anymore.
I don't think the stop sign is there, but I still think there is a worker crossing in the middle of the street holding his fist out. I don't think there's a sign still there, but I still think you have to stop because there is a man in front of you with a sign physically saying, hey, you have to slow down. You can speed right past him, but there is still a man in front of you, in my opinion, who's trying to slow down traffic.
Let me find out you stopped for the rent-a-cop. Not me. Coming up, Richard Sherman dropped the hammer on that. That's why I got all these damn warrants. Dropped the hammer on his former team. We'll tell you if his comments on Russell Wilson were fair or foul. But first, Doug Pederson is headed to Jacksonville, as I said 5 times already. We'll tell you if he can save the Jaguars. Next, don't speak for yourself. But I'll tell you, I get where I got to go. Pederson was named the new head coach in Jacksonville. Duval. Pederson won a Super Bowl during his 5 years with the Eagles and will now take over a Jaguars team that only won 3 games this season. Owner Shah Khan said, quote, I hope Doug can replicate that magic here in Jacksonville, he said. So, Acho, are you confident Doug Pederson can save my Jaguar?
I am. I think Doug Pederson's a great hire for the Jags, and I look at it like this. Doug Pederson took a team with a second-year quarterback that was last in their division to a Super Bowl. He took a team led by Carson Wentz, in Carson Wentz's second year, the number 2 overall pick, a Philadelphia Eagles team that was 7-9 in 2016, finished 4th out of 4 teams in the division, and by 2017, Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate. The Eagles were 13-3, and Doug Pederson wins a Super Bowl. Obviously, we know Nick Foles leads them on that run, but even if they don't go to a Super Bowl, Pederson still took a team that was 7-9 with the second-year quarterback to first in the division, 13-3 the following year. Doug Pederson understands how to make the most of what he is given. Sal, we went heavy in the A block, so I'm gonna lead with my good stuff here in this block. I look at coaches in really 3 categories. Coaches, I look at them in 3 categories. You have builders, you have sustainers, and you have floppers. Now, floppers are self-explanatory. Joe Judge at the NFL level, he flopped. Urban Meyer, phenomenal college coach. At the NFL level, he flopped. You have your floppers, but then you have your builders. Who are our builders? Sean McVay, he took a team that was moved to Los Angeles and was terrible operating under Jeff Fisher, and 3 years later, he was in a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan, when he had his quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, he took a 49ers team that won 2 games the year before his arrival. That was under Chip Kelly. And 3 years later, he's in a Super Bowl. 2 years after that, he's in an NFC championship game. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, builders. Joe Judge, flopper. Then sustainers. Who are our sustainers? Mike Tomlin takes over for Bill Cowher, sustains that organization in Pittsburgh, and they stay great, and they've been great since then. So where is Doug Pederson in all of this? To me, Doug Pederson is a builder. He took an Eagles organization that had some success under Chip Kelly, but finally under Chip Kelly, they faltered and they faltered. They faltered and they fell short, that is. He takes that organization, and 2 years later, he builds that organization up. They go to the playoffs under Doug Pederson. After going to the Super Bowl under Doug Pederson, whether Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, they were okay. So because Doug Pederson is a builder and this Jaguars team needs to be built up, I believe Doug Pederson will save the Jags.
I agree with you, man. And I know you gave everybody all your experience and your knowledge of the Philadelphia situation. So let me hone my focus in on just one thing. I'm not as big as I used to be, so let me just close that door a little bit. I can still squeeze through there and focus on the quarterbacks. Because look what he did with Carson Wentz. From Carson Wentz, number 2 overall selection, tremendous talent, became an MVP candidate, also won a Super Bowl with a lot of the body of work from Carson Wentz that season. Obviously, Nick Foles was the cherry on top. and was a winning head coach in Philadelphia. Now he gets to go to Jacksonville, where they have an even more talented, at least hyped up in talent, with Trevor Lawrence, who is just 22 years young, who, if you want to listen to everyone who talks about him, has a great foundation in which you can build upon. Now, last year was a little bit of a roller coaster ride, as it should be for a rookie. He led the league in interceptions. A lot of people say, ugh, that's nasty. Except, don't forget that Peyton Manning did that as well. Don't forget that Terry Bradshaw did that as well. Turned out pretty decent. Let's look at the fact that if you could elevate a Carson Wentz to MVP level, you can elevate that team to a Super Bowl championship. Why not Jacksonville? How do you say his name? Travis Etienne?
Etienne.
Etienne? Big thighs, big dog. Ooh, he got muscles on his fingers. His fingers be flexing. He's going to be healthy next year. He'll be back. They have talent around in Jacksonville. You look at them, third most cap space, 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. To me, it's almost like uncultivated fertile ground. And now you add a winner, a tour guide that could take them to the promised land. I think he's great for the job.
And the last thing I'll say, and this is for y'all Jags fans, if you don't know about Doug Pederson, let me educate you. Doug Pederson took a Eagles offense without any true superstars, and he led that team to a Super Bowl. He took an Eagles offense that was extremely maligned. Jason Peters got hurt. Darren Sproles got hurt. An Eagles defense that lost Jordan Hicks, starting middle linebacker, a Pro Bowl special teams player, Chris Marigos, and took them to a Super Bowl. Quarterback, obviously, Carson Wentz got hurt. So when you look at a team that had no true superstars, the Eagles, Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Torrey Smith, Zach Ertz, the closest thing in my mind to a superstar as a specialist, LeGarrette Blount, and they won a Super Bowl, then you can imagine what you can do in Jacksonville when you look at the likes of Laviska Shenault, you look at Etienne coming back, you look at your already starting running back.
James Robinson.
James Robinson. You look at the talent you have on that roster. You might not have a superstar, but Doug Pederson finds a way to get the most out of his ingredients, and Jacksonville has enough.
Okay, let me put you on the hot seat. Really just a little Q&A, because I read the articles of Philadelphia. I don't even go to Philadelphia. Oh, fake New York. Like, it's hot out there. The Liberty Bell cracked. I'm like, what the hell? Philadelphia, nah, I'm good. Unless Meek Mill invite me down to show up. Here's the thing. What happened in Philadelphia? Be real. Carson Wentz went the other way. He went down, and it was hard to work with Carson Wentz that last year, especially in terms of performance and maybe in personality. Beyond the headlines, beyond what I read, what happened?
I heard several things. I think the primary issue was there is the disconnect between the general manager, Howie Roseman, between the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, and between the coach, Doug Pederson. If the owner and general manager want you to start and or play a certain quarterback, but the head coach wants to start and or play a different quarterback, there will be a rub. What people think is that players are the most cocky individuals in the organization. Coaches and general managers are the most cocky individuals in the organization.
Hell yeah.
At the point in which you draft a quarterback in the second round, Jalen Hurts, eventually you have to play that second round quarterback in Jalen Hurts, because you don't draft a second round pick to put him on ice for God knows how long. So Carson Wentz wanted to play, obviously, and certain people within the organization wanted to start Carson Wentz. Then higher-ups wanted to start another individual, and now there is going to be
Hold on, what do you mean another individual? You mean Jalen Hurts? Oh, okay. I thought it was somebody else.
But then even remember, when Jalen Hurts was starting, Jalen Hurts gets pulled for Nate Sudfeld that last game of the season, and Doug Pederson is out.
Interesting. Okay, you said a few things there. So the ego. Like, we all have the ego, especially to become a professional athlete. You know what kind of ego you have to have? Because you're going to go through the roller coaster of people supporting you and people disagreeing with your dream, right? So I used to look at coaches, GMs, and certainly the owner, as an aggregation of all of our egos in one person. I was like, dog, because you really dictate the power. Marcellus, you look amazing in practice. You ain't playing next week. And you're like, damn, that's an ego right there. But what you described to me was a disconnect in Philly, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Owner, GM, coach. So basically, Doug Pederson got Flores, right? But without the racism, huh? Interesting. Coming up, Duval! Odell Beckham Jr. is headed to the Super Bowl. Mark Sanchez, he in the building, and he'll help us tell if all the drama he left behind in Cleveland was worth it. Really? That's next on Speak for Yourself. Duval! Sunday, a story venue that's seen everything, has never seen anything like this. NASCAR comes to the Los Angeles Coliseum for the very first Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. Sunday, coverage begins at 5 Eastern, only on Fox. got to bring in our friend of the program, Fox NFL analyst Mark Sanchez, who did some of his fine work at that Coliseum. My man. Now let's get to Odell Beckham Jr., where he had 9 catches and over 100 receiving yards, nutching on Sunday to help the Rams book their ticket to the Super Bowl. OBJ had a messy divorce from the Browns, from Baker too. But his personal trainer said he is definitely misunderstood, adding, quote, everything he has been through and all the difficulties and injuries, it just adds up to this being the right time. Acho, was the Odell Beckham Jr. drama in Cleveland worth it?
Man, it comes down to this one final game. If they win the Super Bowl, it was worth it. If they do not, it was not. And I will clarify. Regardless, for Odell Beckham, it was worth it. But for Odell's legacy, it's completely contingent upon whether or not they win a Super Bowl. For Odell, it's worth it because you got out of Cleveland. You got to a better city with better weather, a better quarterback, a better offensive-minded head coach, and they passed the ball more. So if you're Odell, clearly it was worth it for him as a person. But we got to talk about what transcends a person. What will always transcend a person is a legacy. Because a person is one individual, but a legacy is what several individuals think about that one individual.
Okay.
So for Odell Beckham's legacy, it was not necessarily worth it unless he wins a Super Bowl. If we were all being real with ourselves, and we can be real with one another, when you think about Odell Beckham, you close your eyes, you think 2, 3, or 4 things. You can visualize the catch.
Yeah.
But outside of visualizing the catch, everything else probably that comes to your mind is a distraction from the game of football. It might be the boat party. It might be the kicking of the net. It might be the touchdown celebrations. It might be the yelling at Freddie Kitchens that was turned into a social media meme. Whatever the case may be, Odell Beckham's legacy is ridden with distractions outside of the catch.
Okay.
So for Odell Beckham's legacy, it all comes down to winning a Super Bowl. If he wins a Super Bowl, it was completely worth it, because now when we close our eyes and think about Odell Beckham, we'll think about the catch, we'll think about the Super Bowl, and then we'll think about the distractions. But as it stands right now, we think about the catch, we think about the distractions. But for Odell, the person, regardless, it's worth it. From what I've heard, he's earned $2 million in incentives. Now, we've heard that's been given in crypto and those rumors and whatnot. Whether it's true or not, I do not know. But in the playoffs alone, he's earned $2 million in incentives. He's in a new city. He's in a better city. Better head coach offensively. Better passing offense. I think Odell is happy.
Yeah, I think he's definitely happy. But was the drama worth it? It's hard to answer because I can't argue with the result of where he ended up for all the reasons you just mentioned. But I don't love the process, like going, your parents defending you on social media, like, it's the other guy pointing fingers at other people. It was a messy divorce. I think if you could have avoided that, that would have been nice. But listen, you have to go through what you have to go through in your life to be where you are now. So are there other ways you could have navigated that? Yes. And listen, it's the coach's job. Well, number one, we know this. You can't win with a bunch of choir boys. Like, you need some dogs in the NFL to win, right? And sometimes that comes with a little drama. That comes with a couple headlines here. That
a little spice.
The right, supporting cast. You can keep all that and channel it in the right direction. Get the best out of your individual players. Hold everybody to a same standard, but treat everybody differently, right? You're not going to be treated equally. You're going to be treated a little different based on your talent, right? I remember Rex Ryan saying, hey, the bus leaves at 2 o'clock unless you're Darrelle Revis. Right? That's just the way he was treated because of how he played. So it's difficult for me to be like, yes, this is the new way to get out of, you kick up enough dust, you make enough noise, you get a great opportunity. I don't think that sets the right example. However, I can't argue with the result. He's in a great spot, and especially if they win. I mean, it's a slam dunk. He's done it all.
Yeah, you guys went there, but let me just plant the flag and let me just declare it wasn't worth it. Not worth it at all. Stop.
Oh.
There's no connectivity between the drama in Cleveland and what the success looks like in Los Angeles. Nothing. But people will lie to themselves and think that they're necessary. I gotta go through hell to get to heaven. The old pastors used to say that. Boy, the devil's a lie. The devil is a lie. You do not have to go through hell to get to heaven.
Tell the truth, shame the devil.
You know what I'm saying? There's a direct way to heaven. I know. Let me just go get this. Let me just say it like this. People going to perceive it this way because a lot of people go through adversity before, obviously, you get to your success. That's how we became professional athletes. It wasn't always a successful linear road. It was full of ups and downs, right? So we all project that, like, you got to go through things to really get there, and then more so appreciate it when you get there. But do you need to fail a test to get an A? Anybody? Anybody? Do you need to get hurt to stay healthy? Anybody? Anybody? Do you need to be whacked before you go platinum? Like anybody? Like this whole, you gotta go through hell and get an L before you get to that place makes no sense. Now, Acho, you said something that I just want to respond to. You said that Odell's 3 moments that pop into your head when you close your eyes, the catch, obviously for everybody to catch. But then I hear my daughter, and I see her right now. She keeps telling me how good looking this dude is. And Odell, okay, she's 22-year-old. I get it. Her favorite athlete. Pizza and flour, distraction, as you said. I remember that moment. But for me, when I look at Odell Beckham Jr., I see unrealized potential. It's rare to see somebody who had that type of start and it is now in this position of success and having impact on a potentially Super Bowl winning team. And you still look at him like, he hasn't even scratched the surface yet. There's so much runway still in front of Odell Beckham Jr. So when I close my eyes, I wonder if he's ever going to fully realize all that potential.
But for me, I think the drama was worth it, Sel, because the drama was what got him to L.A. Without the drama, there appears not to be any L.A.
Meaning he's stuck there.
What do you mean? Can the
stuck
Giants
in
just trade you to the Rams or something? Like, I don't need to go through that. I went through that, but the need.
But here's worth it. From what I've heard,
traded from the Giants.
Correct. Yes, traded from.
So he had no control over.
No
that.
control.
Yes,
this one he had control over.
Really both, right? One was intentional, one was inadvertent. But Giants, he got traded because of drama. Right? The ownership in New York ain't with all that party boat stuff, ain't with all that highlights, ain't with all that. Trades him to Cleveland. Now, Cleveland, it was more intentional. Cleveland, I want out. It was your actions in New York that got you out unintentionally. But it was your intentional actions in Cleveland that got you to L.A. Without the drama, I don't think Odell ends up in L.A. So I'm not going to say this was you got to go through hell to get to heaven, but I do think he had to go through Cleveland to get to L.A. Because otherwise, if not for that.
Sound like hell and heaven to me. As an L.A. native, this is heaven. I ain't saying Cleveland hell, but it ain't heaven. Anybody?
There goes the Cleveland market.
Y'all be right. Cleveland rain. Ratings have tanked.
I think he was going to have an opportunity wherever, and he kicked up the dust. And I don't necessarily agree with that way of forcing your way out. But, there's something to be said with getting off of a sinking ship and then staying on the sinking ship. Like, there's two sides of that argument. And people are like, well, you're loyal and you put your head down and work and do the right thing. Good things happen. Well, not always, apparently.
That's
yes.
Like, maybe you don't get the right opportunity. Maybe it just wasn't the right coaching staff. Maybe it wasn't the right fit with the quarterback.
I think
that's fine, but that's just kind of the way it goes.
I'm in so much turmoil because I'm usually with Sanchez, right? I don't want to have to kick up dust to get up out of here. But we've seen time and time again. Let's go to the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody should know about those stories. It's America's team. Zeke kicks up dust. Yeah. Zeke goes to Cabo. He goes wherever he does. He holds out. He gets $95 million instantly. Highest paid running back, I think highest paid at the position in the history of the NFL. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott, choir boy, figuratively speaking, kicks up no dust. He traverses every family trial, every NFL trial. Bingo. He gets hurt while playing. And then finally, he does get paid 2 years later, though, if we're being honest. Franchise tag, paid.
That's paid,
so
though, top five.
Finally, he gets
paid.
But my thing is, he kicked up no dust and still had to wait for his. We can talk basketball, James Harden. He had to kick up all the dust in the world, get body shamed just to get up out of there. So I do think at times, unfortunately, you do got to kick up dust as a player to get. Look at Aaron Rodgers.
It's becoming more popular.
Look, Aaron Rodgers.
In vogue,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's Brian Flores. Kick up dust, maybe it.
Brian Flores. First.
Careful.
Yeah, here y'all go. I know. I tell over there. Uncomfortable conversation time. I tell you sound like the girlfriend before the wife. That's how they sound.
I made this. Oh my God.
You needed me.
Girlfriend too?
You needed me to find love. No, I didn't. That bad relationship I went through.
I didn't want to do this to him. How many engagements before you found love?
You want me to stop?
How many engagements?
1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Did I buy the 4
out every
That's my point.
You think I needed them though?
Yes, you needed to fail.
You know how many girlfriends I had?
You needed to go through hell to find you an Anne Marie.
First of all, I'm not going to do that. I love my wife. That is heaven. Are there multiple? Like, those were good experiences as well. You act like those are bad experiences.
You didn't get the ring back.
That's good. Because I ain't cheap and broke and an Indian.
All personal stuff.
All I got to say is, I'll show this. In your life, has there ever been situations that you fully appreciated, that you went into and actually didn't have to go through the hell to get through it? Like,
course.
Of course,
Yes,
right.
of course.
And
Yes,
that's
sir.
what I'm saying. Like, we have this.
Every pitfall. You
Yeah.
can avoid a couple of them.
Like, because remember we talked about this. Sometimes the same pit can have a safety net there, or it can have a trampoline
Yes,
there.
sir.
And sometimes you can fall on it and you're not getting back up. Sometimes you can fall on it and guess what? It saves you, but it also could spring you up.
We can end people.
Okay, good. Damn, you always talking about my engagements. They're going to hit me up on DMs.
Dang.
Speaking of Odell in the Super Bowl, Terry Bradshaw still has plenty of money to give away. So Fox Bet Super 6 is running Stack the Cash one more time. Last two jackpots surpassed $325,000. And they want you to make this one even bigger. Scan the QR code, download the Super 6 app, enter your picks in the Super Bowl contest for your chance at the growing jackpot. And invite your friends too, because the more people who enter, the bigger the jackpot gets. Coming up, a lot of big names are trying to win their first Super Bowl. We'll tell you who's under the most pressure. Next on Speak for Yourself. Aljo, can I come over tonight? Plenty of guys are going to feel pressure to bring home the Lombardi Trophy next Sunday. Sean McVay is looking for redemption, while Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow are playing in their first Super Bowls. The Rams are a 4-point favorite over the Bengals, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. Mark is back with us, but Aljo, who is under the most pressure in the Super Bowl?
Man, I was thinking Sean McVay, then I was like, no, it's got to be Matthew Stafford. And then I was like, wait, it's Aaron Donald. And it's Aaron Donald.
Whoa, that's a pull.
It's Aaron Donald, and let me break it down. Y'all know this. Aaron Donald, since he's been in the league, has been a Pro Bowler each and every year. Damn. Aaron Donald, since he's been in the league, has been an All-Pro player the last 7 years. 8-time Pro Bowler, 7 consecutive All-Pros. So Aaron Donald, more than anybody on that football field next Sunday, is the best player on that football field. He's accomplished everything you could want to accomplish individually. He's accomplished everything you could want to accomplish statistically. He's accomplished everything you could want to accomplish in lore and in legacy, except for one thing, a Super Bowl ring. Von Miller, the next greatest player on that football field, the only other player on that football field come game time who was a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, he got him Super Bowl ring.
Got that.
And more than a ring, he has a Super Bowl MVP. And more than a ring and a Super Bowl MVP, he was the reason his team won the game because they were going up against a NFL MVP. Mark Sanchez just said it. Sack fumble for y'all who have forgotten. Super Bowl 50. Beyonce performed at halftime. So with that being said, Aaron Donald is the one person who is just missing that one thing. He's just missing the cherry on top. Everybody else is missing several things, right? Even Matthew Stafford, even if he does win a ring, he's still missing some things. Nobody will ever consider him the best quarterback of all time. Sean McVay could win. Nobody's going to consider him the best head coach of all time. Jalen Ramsey could win, and nobody will yet consider him the best cornerback of all time. But if Aaron Donald wins a Super Bowl, who many are already considering the best defensive tackle of all time, he will continue to complete that legacy and that resume as maybe the best interior defensive lineman to ever play the game. I didn't offend your boy. I didn't offend
Who you didn't offend? Warren Sapp, yes, you did. John Randall, yes, you did. But, yeah, Aaron Donald right there.
Aaron Donald,
how long?
Aaron Donald gonna have, when it's all said and done, he gonna have Warren Sapp beat. John Randall has so much in legacy that I don't even know, but Aaron Donald gonna have Sapp beat.
I'm listening. That was great.
I don't know.
Where you at?
I'm there. Coaches, head coaches and quarterbacks get a lot of scrutiny. That's why I got to go with McVay is under the most pressure.
I like it.
His first Super Bowl appearance, underachieved, right? Ran into a brick wall that was Belichick and kind of put the clamps on that offense.
It's actually Brian Flores. He was the defensive coordinator.
Flores? Yes, but he had an opportunity. But then the man would have happened.
Opportunity. As I was saying,
I ain't gonna out Bill Belichick. He gave. Let me stop.
Come on.
Did you not interrupt him again?
You did it first.
He wasn't in on those meetings or anything. Belichick had no clue. It was a collaborative effort. I think both of them did a great job. Okay, regardless of it.
Hey, where you going later, Brian? Hey, Bill, text me. No, don't text me.
Dang, too soon. Classic mix-up. Brian. So Stafford and Burrow, I feel like, are playing, maybe not Stafford as much, but Burrow's playing with a little bit of house money. Nobody expected this. Came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And now this thing is exploding. You're kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. But for McVay, he gets a lot of good press, a lot of good hype, and a lot of it is deservedly so, right? But this is the chance. You got your quarterback. You've kind of, people were saying, well, if they had a different quarterback, just like they said about Stafford, well, if he had a better coordinator or a better organization or he was with better players, maybe he could, finally become, realize his potential. It's all on McVay. And I think if I'm the head coach, I'd prefer that. I'd rather the pressure be on me than my players. I want those guys loose, excited, ready to play. I think he's in a great position, but he's got to win this one.
I'm going somewhere different. I am going Matthew Stafford. Let's be real. If we visualize the stove growing up, nobody is in that hot dog water. You remember that? You used to boil hot dogs. First of all, what color is that, Mama? No one's in the hot dog water, like boiling pressure. But Matthew Stafford's on the stove. Like, he's a pot on the stove. Like, temperature's going to get turned up on you. Why? Because it can't be Sean McVay for me, because Sean McVay, mainstays, been here, incumbent, but more importantly, built into a Super Bowl experience for the Rams. But the Rams put themselves in a predicament, and they made a trade. They made an acquisition to add on to their situation, which to me adds on pressure, because you can't do what Jared Goff did, bro. Like, it's funny, if you watch the NFC Championship game after it, Matthew Stafford's wife runs up to him, gives him that big hug. And look, I've never won a playoff game, so I never got a hug that good. And according to Acho, I had too many fiancés, so who's going to hug me? Here's the thing.
Like 4 different hugs. That's wow.
Hey. Here's the thing. That hug was... And you can even see Matthew Stafford like, baby, we got one more, baby, one more. Like, she gave him the Super Bowl winning hug. He was like, nah, Jared Goff's done this. We need to do a little bit more. And to me, that's where the pressure is. Interesting point, Aaron Donald. Like, I don't think his legacy is missing anything, if you think about it, because when you look at defensive tackles, are you really going to give them a bump or a knock based on a Super Bowl? Because that's for the coaches.
Yeah.
That's for the quarterbacks. I just look at this situation where Matthew Stafford has the greatest opportunity to get the makeup kit, the Mac makeup, and just change his entire resume in one game, his entire legacy in one game, and that's pressure.
I think it validates his legacy.
Yep.
Doesn't totally change it. I mean, the dude's passed for over 50,000 yards.
Okay, let me say, I'm talking in perception.
Can we go somewhere real quick?
Yeah, I know where you're going. You're going to Miami.
I want to answer this.
You're going to Miami. Don't do it.
Forget what I got to say.
Do it.
Is Matthew Stafford this generation's
Dan Marino?
I don't know. What's his QBR?
So stupid, trying to get out of it.
Is he this generation? Because me and Sel be going back and forth on that. Is Matthew Stafford, big arm, pass for 5,000 yards in a season, more physically talented than everybody else? Is Matthew Stafford this generation's Dan Marino?
No, because he's going to win a Super Bowl. Not if he wins it. I mean, and even if he doesn't, if he ends up around, the Phillip Rivers numbers, like, he's always going to be in that conversation of straight up ballers that didn't happen to, one, get an opportunity in this game, or win the game when you get the opportunity. But you look at Brady's sustained success, which is unbelievable, right? He just got more opportunities at the tournament. He got more opportunities at a championship game, which means more opportunities at a Super Bowl. So he got more of them, and that's incredible. Now, Matt maybe only gets one. He might only get one. Yeah. Rivers never got one. Marino got what? One? So he
got one chance and didn't win in that one chance.
And that haunts you forever. Like, you can't get to that next level without winning it. Right?
This full circle brings it back to my small Aaron Donald point, which I think if people
it got smaller as we talk.
To my small Aaron Donald point, because Sel is right when Sel's like, and Sel and Sanchez both said quarterbacks, coaches, they get most of the attention on the outside.
Yeah. So the only ones who have a record next to their name.
Correct. But when I think about pressure, I'm thinking about the pressure you put on yourself. Aaron Donald steps on that field and he knows, I'm better than everybody by a long shot.
But isn't that an exemption? Like, you ever been in a situation where they're like, oh, it's binary. Either you do it, Matthew Stafford, or you don't. But there's an exemption for some. And the exemption for Aaron Donald is, dude, look at my resume. Like, you guys going to slight me and now all of a sudden start regarding Super Bowl wins for defensive tackles? Like, to me, that's just a little bit of a stretch. Here's what's interesting. Back to Dan Marino, because I just got to protect my childhood. Okay. And the first quarterback that I ever been on the football field with that actually made the ball make noise when it passed by. I'm sure you've thrown passes like that. It zipped by me, and mid-stride, mid-attempted sack, I was like, I've never encountered that. Here's the thing. People always say, is Kevin Hart now your generation's Eddie Murphy? And I'm like, even if he passes him in every movie, box office receipts, and money made, no. Because I grew up on Eddie Murphy. That was the peak. When you talk about what we're seeing, Matthew Stafford and Dan Marino, Super Bowls aside, there's no way he could be Dan Marino. Because Dan Marino did something without stepping on the shoulders of who was before him. Who was like Dan Marino before Dan Marino? Oh, wait. But Matthew Stafford is the carbon, y'all don't know, carbon copy, if you want to say, of Dan Marino, but stepping on the shoulders of the great Dan Marino. Is Kevin Hart?
How much Dan Marino pay you for that take?
Man, I don't know, but next time I see him.
He was fun to watch.
Dog, he was insane.
So was Stafford.
He's smooth.
Yeah, but he ain't the same.
They're both.
Is Kevin Hart as funny as Eddie Murphy? Coming up, the Giants are firing back after Brian Flores called out their hiring process.
Sanchez, you stand for this one?
We have a lot to say about the Giants denying his claims next. Oh, speak for yourself. Yes. Yes, let's bring all our brothers into it. Let's get back to Brian Flores. He claimed in his lawsuit that his interview for head coach with the Giants was a sham and felt they already intended to hire Brian Daboll. The Giants issued a lengthy statement calling Flores' claims, quote, disturbing and simply false. They added to their decision to hire their head coach was made after Flores' second interview. And to base his allegation on a text exchange with Bill Belichick is, quote, irresponsible. So, Acho, what's your reaction to the Giants' statement denying Brian Flores' claims?
I have a greater reaction to the Giants than their statement itself. The Giants have now 6 coaches in 8 years. The Giants are a billion-dollar organization, and the head coach is the most important position in that organization. So the Giants are either one of two things. The Giants are either racially discriminatory in their head coaching hiring practice, or they are idiots.
Ooh.
That is what I have deduced.
Let's hear it.
If you change coaches every 2 years, then you do not know how to hire a coach, and the coach is the most important position in your billion-dollar organization. If you don't know how to adequately appoint the most important position in a billion-dollar organization, then you are foolish. Option A. Option B is very simple. If of the 97 years your organization has been an establishment, and over the last 8 years you have 6 coaches, and none of those 6 coaches are black or diverse, then option B, you are racially discriminatory in your hiring practices. It is either A, the Giants are completely imbecilic when it comes to hiring a head coach, or B, they are racially discriminatory. It must be A or B, or the worst option you can have on a choice, on a test, C,
all the above.
It's got to be A, B, or C.
Whoa.
Because even if the Giants are not racially discriminatory, and I'll give y'all that. I'm not even going to say that you are. Well, now, John Mara, you are a billionaire, a multi-billionaire. You're running a billion-dollar organization. As you assess this billion-dollar organization, the oil to the engine that runs this billion-dollar organization is a head coach. So if the oil to the engine that keeps this billion-dollar organization running and moving along the track is a head coach, and you, a billionaire, a brilliant man who holds one of the greatest positions in America, cannot adequately assess who to hire for that position, then what are you, my friend? Beyond unintelligent. So that is where I wrestle with. I'm not going to say the Giants are racially discriminatory. I will move from that. But if you're not racially discriminatory, then you're just dumb. But do you really want to believe that a billionaire John Mara, who runs a multi-billion-dollar organization, is dumb? I'm hard-pressed to do that either. But let me personalize it. Man. I love former head coach for the Giants, Pat Shermer, as a man. I love him as a man. Phenomenal human being. But I know that he is not a great head coach, because he was my head coach when I joined the Cleveland Browns, when they drafted me in 2012. So grateful for Pat Shermer, who drafted me. The late, great Tom Heckert drafted me as well. He was a general manager at the time. But Pat Shermer, he brought us into a huddle one day. I've told you this story. During a training camp, after a phenomenal day of practice, he brings us in. All our fists go into the center. He's like, gentlemen, great practice. If y'all keep practicing like this, we'll look up one day, we'll be 13-3. We'll look up one day, we'll be 12-4. We're all kind of sitting there with a confused look on our face like, Coach, is this a pump-up speech? If we practice great, we gonna lose 3 to 4 games? It was at that moment that I knew, Pat Shermer, you are not equipped to lead a group of men into battle on a football field. Joe Judge, I knew, was not a great head coach. Marcellus Wiley knew as well. I am no freaking genius on this set. And we knew Joe Judge wasn't a good head coach the second we heard his presser. And he used all of these football cliches. Nobody will out-tough us. Nobody will out-discipline us. We will be the hardest working football team in all of sports. We are a blue-collar organization like this blue-collar city. I will outwork, out-coach, and out-physical every person in the National Football League. As soon as I heard all of that football coaching jargon, Sal and I both came on the show the next day and were like, yeah, man, Joe Judge ain't it. So if I, in my non-billionaire education, can understand who these coaches are and that they should not be hired, then how, John Mara, in your billionaire education, can you not understand who these coaches are and the fact that they should not be hired unless you are hiring them for a certain reason? So either A, the Giants are foolish, or B, they are racially discriminatory in their hiring practices. Y'all can choose C, all the above if you want to.
Man, golly. I don't know where to go. I'm literally dumbfounded right now because there's so many things to answer right here. Let me just start off with my initial topic sentence and response to this, which was my suspicions of this lawsuit are now being proven. My skepticism of this lawsuit is now being supported. And that's unfortunate because I understand right now that if you look at this situation from the outside, a lot of people want to scream discrimination, as my man Brian Flores did. However, as you start to detail not only within the 58-page lawsuit, but the responses to that, let's start with the New York Giants, you start to realize maybe not exactly as described Brian Flores. Let's talk about it. The Giants have receipts, as you would say, CVS long receipts, detailing what occurred with Brian Flores. And what Brian Flores has is a screen grab of a text message from Bill Belichick that even includes, I think, which is not solid ground to stand on emotionally, logically, and certainly in the court of law, okay? So Bill Belichick may think one thing, but as the New York Giants said, Mr. Belichick, quote, does not speak for and has no affiliation with the Giants. His text exchange provides no insight into what actually transpired during our head coaching search. And they continue. So now you start looking at the Giants situation like, I don't know, B. You can't be using Bill Belichick's screenshot thoughts as grounds for discrimination. You guys can go into the details. The NFL now, that's part of the lawsuit, racist hiring practices against black coaches. Yeah, but you got fired by a black GM. Oh, well, no, my issue was with Stephen Ross. Well, prove it. Well, we had a conversation of tanking. Did you take the money? You got a transaction of that? You got a recording of that? No. In the court of law, it's not about facts. It's about what you can't prove. 0 for 2, probably. Let's go to Denver. Oh, they didn't take my interview seriously. Man, damn it, they were drunk and hungover and they were late. We in court for that? They're in court because of unprofessionalism, allegedly. 0 for 3, potentially. Now you look at the situation in totality, and I got to start to go where you went. I'm not going to blame the Giants for getting this wrong because 31 teams get this wrong every single year, and those teams change, right? It's a difficult ask to get a head coach right. The average years of a head coach in the NFL is 5 years. So most teams have turnover, right? The job title is fixed, head coach, but the duties, they're fluid. They change all the time. Hey, we need someone who is old and defensive-minded. No, we need someone who's young and offensive-minded. Get the next McVay, any gremlin that looks like him. And in the same person, the same coach, you can have someone who's right for the job and wrong for the job. Don't believe me? Ask Zach Taylor. Woo, before this year, he was wrong for the job. Now he's right for the job. A couple years ago, the Bengals won 2 games. Now they're in the Super Bowl. I think that's a heavy, strong indictment on the Giants to get something right that it seems like most, if not damn near all teams at some point get wrong.
Yeah, and you think you're exactly right. Not a thing, because empirically you're right based on the data. Yeah, 5-year turnover. But here's the problem. At the point in which the Giants are the primary focus of the suit, because the Giants are the primary focus of the wrongdoing towards Brian Flores, and you look at the Giants and they've changed coaches every 2 years for the last 6 years, going with McAdoo, then Sherman, then Judge, and now Daboll. You start to look specifically at the Giants, not everybody else.
Okay.
Because if the NFL average is 5-year turnover, but the Giants average is a 2-year turnover, well, I got an issue with you, New York Giants.
Let's go.
Because ever since Tom Coughlin obviously was the head coach from 2004 to 2016, if I'm not mistaken, Giants, y'all still out here doing the same thing over and over and over. You starting to make me look at you a little bit sideways. Now, here's the other thing, though, Sel.
Let's go.
While you might be right as it pertains to the court of law, what I've learned in 2022 if we're being honest, the court of public opinion can dictate the terms of the law, particularly because the law is governed by people. And so if the court of public opinion is strong enough and or loud enough, the court of public opinion can sway the people who govern the law. And so as long as the court of public opinion is loud and resounding enough, and it appears to be loud and resounding enough because statistically speaking, there are some data that makes you curious. 1 black head coach, 29 filled positions. That's weird because there were 8 black head coaches out of 32. So it looks like we're going in the wrong direction. There were 4 2 years ago. There were 3 last year. Wait, this is starting to get a little bit conspicuous. If the court of public opinion is resounding enough, it will likely move the court of law because the court of law is still decided by people.
So, hold on. Brian Flores. All of this kicked up, and right now, skeptical in terms of supporting it, but we'll see. It's a long process. And then we're going to come at the Giants and say, hey, you're not getting a head coaching job right. But look in Miami. It's just as bad, if not worse. Since Don Shula, where do you want to go? Like, where do you know how many coaches they've had? Flores, Gase, Campbell, Philbin, Sperano, Bowles. I just got to 2010. Man, stop. So, it's on them. It's on wherever you go in this NFL, most places. Let's talk about this. Because black coaches are hired at a higher rate, almost double rate than white head coaches.
I need that stat.
It's right here.
I need that note.
You need that note?
I ain't
38%. You ain't checked it? Okay, where is it? Because I got too many damn papers. Look up here.
I don't need it now, but
okay,
I need that
okay, it's 38% versus 19%. Okay, I'll give it to you later. I want to give you this, though. Please, I got it right in front of me. This is from the Giants. Dog, I love the truth. I play on one team. It's called the Truth. And our uniforms change every day. Who we playing for and what we playing for changes every day because I just follow the truth. I don't give a damn what it is. Sorry, rooting interests aside, I play for the Truth team. Quote from the Giants. In his CBS interview, Mr. Flores was asked if clubs have the right to hire the person they think is qualified for the job or the person they feel is right for them. Mr. Flores responded, they do. That's very reasonable to me. Giants said, that is exactly what we did. And they did it after he went on the tour of the facilities. He did his interview. They said, they even went so gangster, said, y'all think we're so dumb to hire Brian Daboll off a 20-minute interview on Zoom? And then Bill Belichick's convenient text makes people think that's what they did. And they're like, dog, that's not how it went. So if it didn't go that way, where are we going with the Brian Flores lawsuit?
Here's my thing. If you were dumb enough to hire a special teams coach who you knew, I knew, Sal knew, could not coach NFL players in Joe Judge, then I would not put it past the Giants to hire a Brian Daboll. And I think Brian Daboll is more than qualified. Let's look at what he did with Josh Allen. Brian Daboll's resume with Belichick as a I don't know what's going on. But I think he's more than qualified. But I'll end it like this, Sal. If Brian Flores' suit says that black candidates are often the last hired and the first fired, then there is still truth to the aspect of the Miami Dolphins. Their coaching turnover is so frequent because black head coaches are first fired, which is what Brian Flores said. And if Brian Flores is not the coach of the New York Giants, there still could be truth to that phrase because black coaches are often the last hired. So if black head coaches are the first fired, that's why Brian Flores is not the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And if black head coaches are last hired, that could also be why Brian Flores is not the coach of the New York Giants. So either way you slice it, that one sentence in black head coaches are often the last hired and the first fired could prove reason for the one black head coach out of the 29 current coaches in football.
Okay, let me say this. I got to put you in the hot dog water a little bit. You know I love you, but
it's nasty in there.
It sure is. What color is it? Bill Belichick hired that special teams coach that you said wasn't qualified.
To be a special teams coach.
Yeah. But guess what? They all get promoted. None of, other than Doug Pederson, they all are getting promoted from coordinator positions to head coach to see what they're going to do with it, see what they make. You didn't like him. You knew. I didn't like him because he was rah-rah, but I didn't put a ceiling on terms of what he could have accomplished because, you remember this, you were like, Joe Judge, no way. And then you were like, also, Nick Sirianni, no way. How'd Nick Sirianni turn out? He made the postseason. Just like your favorite player that you get ridiculed for. Well, him too, I'm sorry. Baker Mayfield. You said you love Baker Mayfield.
I do, I like Baker.
And you didn't like Justin Herbert.
No, coming out of college, no, sir.
How'd that turn out? I'm just saying, like, this thing is tricky, bro. We are never nailing it. Last year, I nailed Tampa Bay winning it. This year, you still in the run. You got the Rams, right? You had the Chiefs and the Rams. Dog, let's not hold them to a fire that we can't even survive our damn selves. Everybody gonna get burnt to that. Coming up, let Russ cook is a question.
What? It's spicy.
We got to do this? Oh, man. Compton's in the house. Not according to Richard Sherman. Don't let Russ cook. Oh, my God. We'll tell you if his comments on his former teammate were fair or foul. Next, don't speak for yourself. Yeah, here's my stat. I got it right here. Yeah, let's head to Seattle. The Seahawks missed the playoffs this season, and Richard Sherman definitely noticed. Sherman blasted his former teammate Russell Wilson and the Seahawks' philosophy of let Russ cook. Listen to this, y'all.
The identity of a Pete Carroll and a championship team, as it always has been, is run the ball, limit the turnovers, play solid defense. And people were like, let Russ cook. You did not win a Super Bowl letting Russ cook. You have not been anywhere close to a Super Bowl letting Russ cook. You will not be close to a Super Bowl if you let him throw it 30, 40 times a game.
God. Acho, Richard Sherman's comments on Russell Wilson, fair or foul?
Yeah, they're both. Like Sherm. I like Sherm. Sherm hit me maybe 2 weeks ago. Like, okay. Sherm is one of my favorites in the game. Why you got to do that, Sherm? Like, Sherm did not have to go with Russ that hard. And what hurts the most is he wasn't lying. Richard Sherman told not one lie, but the truth didn't have to be that truthful. I really look at it like this, man.
Yeah.
Self, me and you going to an award show, big dog. Me and you finna rock to next year's Oscars. Not the Emmys, we already done that. Me and you gonna rock to next year's Oscars, right?
We already did it.
We already did that.
You did that. I ain't did that.
So we going to an award show. Yes. We in the car. We get out at the red carpet. I've seen you get dressed stylist style. You style me. We get out to the red carpet. So we do our thing. Yeah. All of a sudden, I look at you and I realize, hey, your socks don't match your pocket square, which don't match your tie. It does me no good to tell you that truth in that moment because it's too late. Camera's already flashing. We on the carpet. You about to walk inside, and hopefully we win an award. Okay. So while I could tell you the truth, what do I gain from doing so? Because it's too late. Sherm, I understand you're telling the truth. The Seahawks did not win a Super Bowl when Russell Wilson was throwing the ball. The Seahawks will not win a Super Bowl if Russell Wilson throws the ball 30 to 40 times a game. I would submit no team likely will. The Seahawks did not live and die when they were thriving through Russell Wilson. All of that is the truth. But Sherm, what do you gain by telling that truth? Like, he's not wrong, but he didn't have to be so right. That's where I'm at with it, Sel.
Oh, man. So far, I ain't listened to the entire podcast, but so far, so fair. Look, our job is not to just talk X's and O's. I got into this game, and my first job was X's and O's. Boring. You know what I like? The I's and U's. Let's talk about the relationships. Let's talk about your relationship with me. Let's talk about your relationship with the game. Let's talk about all the things that the fans are not privy to knowing. So what he did was actually fair. He actually gave you examples on the field, objective examples, and then he talked deeper about it because he had the relationship and the intimate experience. That's like what we all strive to do. Take what you know, take what you can see, and take you deeper than you can go. He did that. But I will admit this. You ever go to a baseball game, like live baseball game? You ever been in one? Okay, good.
Texas Rangers, yeah.
Okay, Texas Rangers. There you go. It took a minute for it to come out, like you a little deprived. Here we go. So you go to a baseball game, and it's crazy. You ever seen a line drive, like pitch, bah, and that thing coming so fast, and you hear it? But this wasn't that. This wasn't a professional line drive. You ever been to a college baseball game? I have. Have you been to college? Oh, no.
Not really.
Oh, they use metal bats. So this is the difference. Same line drive, and you see in a Major League Baseball, it's like, whoa, that was moving. College, bang, and it's like the sound, and it's moving, and that's what this was. He hit that thing so hard, made so much noise, but really, it was still in play. It was still a fair ball. You just mad because you like Russell Wilson.
Of course.
He might come off as mad because, let's be real, I don't think he likes Russell Wilson. That's where it sounds.
And here's my thing. It truly is like, if we all know, we all been in this situation, we all know something about that one person, And we could all go at that one person's neck because we all know that one ugly truth about that one person.
Okay.
But we choose not to do it.
Why?
Because what do we gain out of doing it?
The truth.
What does Richard Sherman gain?
What's wrong with the truth?
What does Richard Sherman gain out of saying everything he said? Because here's the thing. Russell Wilson ain't going to clap back. And at the end of the day,
Oh, he not?
He's not going to clap back.
Oh, really?
What does he gain from
He clapped back
clapping
at the organization. I got 4 places I want to go, but he can't clap back at a teammate that may be wrong in your eyes. Look, let's be real. This is what Sherman wanted to say. See, I could talk in code, Compton code. I could decode this. We made you, bruh, and you getting all this credit. And so then I leave town, the fans turn on me, and then all of a sudden, y'all shipped us out. Legion of Boom got rid of us. How that turned out. That's what he want to say, and I'm going to say it for him. Because look at this. Look at the passing ranks when they were winning Super Bowls, 27th, 26th. But look at the defense's rank, first. Now, passing is down to 23rd. Defense is 11th. And how's the winning? First losing season under Russell Wilson. So basically, they took the torch from the Legion of Boom and gave it to Russ. And all of a sudden, what has Russ done?
Here is my problem.
Okay, go.
Richard Sherman was in Seattle before Russell Wilson was. Russell Wilson is my draft class. Richard Sherman is my brother's draft class. My brother 1 year older. What was the Seahawks record before Russell Wilson really took over?
7-9, right?
7-9, sir.
Yeah.
Then Russell Wilson takes over in 11-5, sir. Then Russell Wilson continues to take over in 13-3, sir, and in the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl. So if I'm Russ, I'm going to Sherman like, hey, big dog, you was there before me. How'd that turn out? Hey, Legion, y'all was there before me. How'd that turn out? Because Earl Thomas was there 2 years before Russell Wilson. Earl Thomas played with me in Texas. He left early. Byron Maxwell, he was there. Cam Chancellor, he was there before Russell Wilson. Walter Thurman, he was there before Russell Wilson. The whole Legion was there before Russell Wilson. But they ain't win a Super Bowl till live Russell Wilson showed up. So if I'm a Russ, yeah, y'all nice and y'all had a good nickname and whatnot. But remember, I was the one who came and brought the Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying if I'm Russ.
Okay, and look, I'm going to be Richard Sherman. Hey, man, you really want these problems? Let's talk about it. You're right. And that's what's right about it. This is so funny. Every relationship goes like this. When it succeeds, it's because of both of us. When it fails, it's because of both of us. Think about this situation. Russell Wilson, without the Legion of Boom, they've lost 4 of their last 5 playoff games, okay? Legion of Boom without Russell Wilson, y'all can't even get a winning record. So it's always a both of us conversation. But let's be real. Let's just pick one. Who had greater impact on the success? Not this, what they doing now, this mediocrity or a little above average. Who had greater impact on the success? Was it the defense, Legion of Boom, that back end, or being real? Russell Wilson.
I think I have to say Russell Wilson. And I think I have to say Russell Wilson because even with the Legion, with the different quarterback, I'm not sure that they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But even with Russ, without the Legion, they don't win a Super Bowl. It's weird. Let me ask you this. Who would you rather be and who's had a better career? Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman.
That's not fair. I would say this. I mean, a quarterback at 8 is going to beat a cornerback at a 10. Let's name Dion. So the point is, Richard Sherman, the game is rigged against cornerbacks. Me, I'd rather be Richard Sherman because Richard Sherman did something at a position that they don't already try to flower you in terms of praise and sometimes criticism. Damn,
it's tough. It's tough. It's tough.
I got to go to break right now because who would I rather be, Russell? Coming up, Brian Flores claimed Bill Belichick had influence on the Giants head coaching hire. We'll tell you if we have an issue with the accusation. Next, on Speak for Yourself. I was about to be disrespectful, see, because you know I love R&B. Brian Flores claims he became aware of the Giants' plan to hire Brian Daboll as their head coach through an accidental text exchange with Bill Belichick. Flores went on to say the Giants' decision was made with Belichick's influence, adding he feels, quote, there are back-channel conversations and back-channel meetings that are had that oftentimes influence decisions. The Giants denied this claim. Sacho, you have an issue with Brian Flores claiming Bill Belichick had an influence who the Giants hired?
Not at all. I hope Bill Belichick had an influence on who the Giants hired. Let's not go completely outlandish here. Yeah. I try to stay reasonable. I try to listen to you and become more reasonable. Hopefully you listen to me and do the same. Let's not get too outlandish. At any job, we always ask for one thing before we hire somebody. A referral. That's what we do at any and every job. Literally, regardless of where you are employed, you likely had to give your current employer a referral. And if you did not give it to them, they likely sought it on their own. More than that, you always ask for advice from those who are more qualified than you, and at a minimum, better than you, and at a maximum, the best, in your opinion, to have ever done it. Bill Belichick, the best coach in the history of the National Football League. So if I'm the New York Giants, of course I would solicit the opinion of the best coach in the National Football League as to who I should or should not hire. I've told you this before, maybe off or on mic. When I hosted The Bachelor last year, who did I call? Hey, Oprah, can I get some words of wisdom on how you think I should approach this conversation? When I sat down with the commissioner of the NFL last year, who did I call? Hey, Oprah, can I get some words of wisdom on how you would navigate having this conversation? What do you think I should ask? How do you think I should ask it? How should I enter into the conversation? Because in my mind, she's the greatest to have ever done it.
Yes.
So I'm going to solicit her opinion and advice before I navigate a task. Bill Belichick is the greatest to have ever done it. So you should solicit his opinion and advice before navigating a task, particularly hiring the head coach of a billion-dollar organization.
Break it down, break it down, break it down. Yes, 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 Acho. Woo! My problem is this. Giants, don't deny this. Like you lose credibility on everything else that you're standing for, and you have receipts about. Like, don't deny this. This is how the game works. Excuse me. This is how the game within the game works. When I was active, I used to say that all the time to my boys. I was like, dog, one thing that really came from me going to an Ivy League school was I learned from other people in terms of their intentions and what they paid attention to, that there are many ways up to the top of a mountain. Like, stop thinking just athletics. I know we from neighborhoods where we think athletics, entertainment, like we think it is very narrow scope. I was like, bruh, you should see these cats in my dorm. They are not thinking about using their bodies to go get to the top, and they're going to get to the top. Now I look back, a lot of them at the top. Here's why I bring that up. This sounds like a lack of sophistication if this is coming out your mouth. They use Bill Belichick to help them get this opportunity to Brian Daboll. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you wish you were Belichick's favorite Brian? Like, this is how it's coming across. Instead of understanding how the game goes, once again, how the game within the game goes. If I have a job in my company, Acho, and there are two candidates. One is, I don't care what color they are, Acho's boy. And then the other one's MJ. Good luck, Acho's boy. Good luck, Acho's boy. I also want to push back on you a little bit, though, because you called Oprah for that opportunity with The Bachelor instead of really thanking your boy. Do you know Mike Fleiss? You know who that is?
Yes.
Yeah, who is Mike Fleiss?
Executive producer of The Bachelor.
Executive producer, creator of The Bachelor, right? You know who he is? He's a Charger fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He used to come to our games. You sit there right on the side, like, hey, Marcel. I've been to his house before. You think that just coincidentally happened as soon as you start working with me? Money in the mail, I hope. Coming up, Joe Burrow is already being compared to Tom Brady. I can make up anything, y'all. We'll tell you if that's fair for the second-year star. Next on Speak for Yourself. You talking Oprah, you got to know so stupid. Joe Burrow is set to play in the Super Bowl in only his second season. And former bingo Boomer Esiason says he's already on a different level than everybody. Boomer said Burrow has about 20 years to catch Tom Brady, but did add, quote, he plays with a Tom Brady calmness and competitiveness. Acho, is it fair to compare Joe Burrow to Tom Brady? Go!
That's, to me, the greatest and the fairest comparison. I see no lies, and here's why. Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, to me, both rank at about the 8th most physically talented quarterback in the National Football League during the second year of their tenure. Clearly, this is Joe Burrow's second year. I have Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford ahead of Joe Burrow as it pertains to his physical talent. When Tom Brady was in his second year, I have Brett Favre, Steve McNair, Kurt Warner, Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper, Peyton Manning, Aaron Brooks. And then I have Tom Brady as far as physical talent. So Tom Brady and Joe Burrow are both about the 8th most physically gifted quarterback in the era in which they're playing. Yet somehow, although they're not the most talented, nor the top 5 most talented, they're in the Super Bowl in their second year. That means that whatever ingredient that Tom Brady and Joe Burrow both possess that we can't quantify, they do in fact possess it. There is something that we cannot quantify that takes Joe Burrow and Tom Brady from not the most talented quarterback, but playing in the biggest game and being the best winner of the quarterbacks. There's some ingredient that they possess that we cannot quantify, that we can't locate in a box score. And because we know that ingredient is there, I now have to draw a comparison between those two, because those are the only two players that possess that ingredient in my mind right now, and Tom Brady back then, that we can't find.
Yes, I'm with you, big dog. Yeah, you can definitely draw the comparison, give him the comp. I'm going to say it because I played against Tom Brady in his early years, his first 2 seasons. Joe Burrow's better than Tom Brady was at that same stage. Be real. Look, they may, at the same stage in the first 2 years, both have the same amount of rings or ring. At the same time, Tom Brady had that 1 year to sit, watch, and then got his opportunity. Joe Burrow hit the ground running, even though injured in that same year. That said, the numbers support Joe Burrow was better than Tom Brady. And I hate when people push back because they compare the full version, the end of the movie Tom Brady, to the opening credits of what Joe Burrow's doing in his career. Calm down. I'm doing this same comparison. I hate when people do this. O.B. Moore, up to a certain age in high school, was the fastest human being ever to walk this planet. And then Usain Bolt took it from there. You know what I mean? But if someone says, you compare young Obi to young Usain, I'm like, hell yeah, I will. All day long. I'm comparing year 2, starting 2 years for Joe Burrow versus Tom Brady. There's passer rating 100 to 86. Even in the playoffs where Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, Joe Burrow trying to win a Super Bowl, Joe Burrow, in this slight regression from his regular season, still has a higher passer rating, still more touchdowns to interceptions. So everywhere you look, not only a good comparison, but it looks like Burrow can edge him out. You got more?
I mean, I guess got a little more. So I can always sing some praises to Joe Burrow. While people might think it's outlandish, like you just said, we have to remember, if you can take a 2-win team to a Super Bowl, then you are doing something that nobody else that we have seen has done. Okay. Because literally and statistically speaking, Joe Burrow has taken a 2-win team followed by a 6-win team to a Super Bowl, and nobody in NFL history has done that. So for me, what Joe Burrow is doing is at least as good as what Tom Brady did in his second year, win or lose, because Joe Burrow does not have the defense that Tom Brady had in his second year. And you know the names, whether Willie McGinnis, whether Ty Law, whether Teddy Bruschi, whether who's that, Richard Seymour, none of them cats.
Yeah, but also Joe Burrow's not going against defenders like they did when Tom Brady was young. I mean, I got video. I don't know. I mean, the defense is Tom Brady was a tougher task and tougher ass to get to the Super Bowl than it is modern day, as you can see right there. That guy. Oh! Who was that right there just getting that sack? That's a sack right there. That's a forced fumble right there on Tom Brady to go. But I also want to keep this going because I don't want to come out here. Look at me. Man, look at that. Oh, look at that bull rush. You see that?
Power?
Speed to power.
Speed to power.
Yeah,
I got stalemated, but you went for the throwing arm. That would not be a forced fumble in this day and age.
Really? That's how the ball
arm and arm were moving forward.
Damn, Tom Brady done had all the rules for him, all the gates for him.
What was your stance?
What do you mean, what was my stance? It's called power. It's called speed.
You got it.
But this is Tom Brady's first passing touchdown in the NFL. Basically, I got the GOAT started right here. As you can see, they're going to send about 5, 6, 18 linemen my way because that's what I do. I already got a sack.
You got chipped. So
I got
chip credibility.
Look at me. Chip credibility, double team, and the fan protection all slide my way, big dog. Still a step away. Tom Brady, you're a GOAT. Remarkable. We understand it. I want to see one more play. Damn, look at me. That's that. Rodney Harrison, get off my ass.
Is that Rodney?
Boy, I'm slow as hell. Boy, these athletes have changed. Why are we still doing this? It's like we at home doing a podcast. Coming up, Micah Parsons is the fastest player in the NFL. What? We'll tell you if yesterday's race was a big deal or not. That's next, so speak for yourself. Boy, y'all gave me too much love. It's been quite the year for Cowboys rookie sensation Micah Parsons. After being named first-team All-Pro, the star linebacker won the fastest man portion of the Pro Bowl Skills Showdown yesterday. See you, big dog! Outracing Nick Chubb, teammate Trayvon Diggs, and most surprisingly, the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. What the? Acho, is it a big deal? No deal. Parsons won the fastest man race.
No deal. What's the big deal is that he is that fast. Like, what a big deal is that fast, meaning he ran a 4.3 at the combine. What is no deal is Tyreek Hill was not actually running. And what is no deal is you can see Micah Parsons was the one who took this seriously. When my dog took his shirt off, that's like a dude in a fight. As soon as a dude in a fight takes their shirt off, you know they about that.
You better already hit him.
So it's no deal, but Micah Parsons is dumb fast.
You know what's interesting? This whole cheetah not racing. I don't know. I'm starting to see through that because Keyshawn Johnson tried to do the same thing. He had margaritas before we raced, still smoked them. But this whole I'm kind of jogging, not really tripping. Maybe he didn't want to go out there full speed and potentially lose to the big dog who represented the D-line. Told y'all the best athletes on the football field are the big ones.
He's a linebacker.
Stop lying. Have a great weekend.